final of our French-themed evenings at Happy Valley comes up on Wednesday night with two feature races as well. The France Gallup Cup and La French May Trophy. A very warm welcome to Racing to Win. I'm Andrew Lejeune. I'm joined here in the studio by race caller Brett Davis and race caller John Blance as well. And John, the two feature races, both Class 2s. Yep. There's a bit of class about them as well. There are, yeah, plenty of speed in the races too. Looking forward to them. The likes of Starlight got a very good Happy Valley record, and he's interesting in the last. All right, so John's you today, Brett. You're Paul.
Yeah.
What's the jackpot?
Probably a good suit, isn't it, actually? Look, the jackpot's a $1.6 million jackpot in the triple trio, rail in the C position. We've got a couple of first starters, Andrew, and there's 13 last start winners going around, so more than a race worth of last start winners, which I think makes it a very competitive program. There'll be plenty of exciting betting going on, I feel. Certainly is. Group 1 racing coming this weekend as well, John, very quickly. Chemical Charge, Rex Beckett's in town. Yeah, he ran very well in the Hong Kong Vars. They've obviously thought about this race for a while, but he'll have to go some to catch our Pakistan star, I reckon. He will. All right, well, more on that later on. But let's look back before we look forward with our racing review. Now, the Racing Club 10th Anniversary Cup was the trophy race on Sunday. Came very early, race number 3. And this win here for Solar Patch, Zach Purton and John Moore was John Moore's 1,599th winner in Hong Kong. Yeah, so we're all on tenterhooks for that 1,600th maybe on Wednesday night. But, yeah, Solar Patch, I mean, he'd been ridden like a good horse in his last two races. The first race he won, he was 3 wide the whole way. Here, things didn't go entirely his way in the run either. He was being knocked around a little bit in a sort of tactical race early doors. But once that gap appeared, he was too good for them, and he's going up in class next, and he'll be a threat there as well. Yeah, definitely. Very impressive win, wasn't it? I mean, he stepped up in weight, he stepped up in distance, and just the way he powered away, you can see him here. He's a big, strong, well-proportioned galloper. Got under the guard of probably a few people on debut when he won impressively. His form since has been very, very good, with a second last start prior to this that was outstanding. He looks a pretty smart horse going forward. As John said, he's at the top of Class 3 here. Class 2 next time, lightweight. The way he's gone there, he's just going to get better and better. He's still 3, so there's a lot to come, you would think. Nowhere near fully furnished. No, it's still, if he can develop through the off-season, be a very smart prospect for next year. And, of course, that was one of 4 winners in the afternoon as well for Zach Purton. Had a great day out. As far as the other winners were concerned, well, here's the 10 of them. Rise High, well, that was the higher class race of the day. He was a bit of a star in the last. And Montreal is a double for Casper Founzer. Yeah, Casper's had a good day as well. Looking good was a debutant who was able to win in a 3-way photo. The trumpet finally blew a song. And Bossy was a good tip from Jenny from the paddock, along with Grade 1. And obviously, Bold Stitch, Tony Millard's stable, going terrifically well at this stage of the season, and he's won 3 of his 4 this term, so he's going well himself. Quick word for Starshine as well. He ran very well. Yeah. Obviously, it took a long time to get that gap up the inside rail. Had the advantage of gate 1, but finally took it. Just on that race, Handsome Bobo, no significant findings, but as you mentioned after the race, you guys, there was a fair bit of bumping and jostling, and he certainly seemed to become unbalanced and maybe lose his action a little bit. So a genuine excuse, I would have thought. Yeah, certainly. But Douglas White did enjoy that win on Starshine for sure. Those are the winners on the weekend. Let's see if we can find you some more with our horses to follow. So, as mentioned before, Brett, Rise High was a very smart win on the programme. He's not a horse to follow, but who is? No, he's a horse in the race. Yeah, well, yes, he is. There's a horse in the race as well, though, that I didn't really give any chance at all to. I mean, it was a strong contest, and obviously you'll see this little bit of a domino effect. There was an objection following the final 200 metres, which was thrown out, dare I say it. But Mongolian Legend just really kept grinding nicely down there on the rail. If you have a look at his form from New Zealand, he was fairly well exposed over there. He looked to be a really good type of handicap type of horse who could handle all types of goings and all types of distances. I think it's very interesting that they've started his prep at this time of the year, because I think 4 of his 5 wins were on rain-affected tracks, and we generally get those towards the
the latter stages of the term, so he could be very effective around then.
Yeah, stepping up in trip as well. What did you find for us, John?
Well, there were quite a few candidates on Sunday afternoon, but I'm going to go with Fortunate Runner. He was a horse that went into the old Black Book last time out because I thought he ran well despite having a horror run, sort of 3, 4 and at times even 5 wide. And again, he didn't have the best of runs on Sunday afternoon either. He was quite nicely in the market as well, more so than I thought he would be. And I thought he stuck on really well here. Up in trip, he'll be fine. And one of these days, he's going to draw a gate as well. And when he does, nipping around the inside, he'll be a threat. Good old Bossy there coming through to win once again, completely unearthed by, or not found by yours truly. But I thought Fortunate Runner ran very well.
Good old Big Bully probably goes into the same scenario there as John's horse to follow.
Massive pout in the tierce. As far as my horse is concerned, he's had 1 start so far. His name is Mr. Wealth. This is the Handsome Bobo race as well. You can see him there with the white face. He's weaking out at this stage. And keep an eye on Starshine as well down on the rail. But Mr. Wealth, he had form on the polytrack in the UK. His name was Mulazim. Marco Botti trained him there. 2-time winner. On the artificial surface. He won at Yarmouth as well over the 1,600 metres. So I think he's just about finding his feet. A step up in trip again won't hurt him because he's Starshine ducking through there. And watch the punch there from Douglas White across the line. He loved that.
He did, yeah. He took a long time to get a run, didn't he, Mr. Wealth? Won a trial going into that race too. So, yep, he snuck through nicely.
Attention actually finished 3rd in that race as well on debut.
That was a good
massive
effort. Yeah.
20s in the 4s, drifted right out to $9 in the end. But at the 100, I thought he was going to win. And then just the last 20 metres, he just sort of was gasping a little bit. But, yeah, the Millard Yard's going very well at the moment. They've got a couple of interesting runners on Wednesday night.
They have indeed. All right, so suspensions out of the weekend. Well, Berta Ripley won on Triumphal Trumpet, but got a couple of days in the process and $20,000. Alvin Ong on Happy Guy, 2 days as well. Eddie Lai, that was in that race there. Prince Harmony finished 2nd, but a couple of days for Eddie also. Matthew Poon, 4 days for him, the 4th to 17th. And back to the 16th as well. Keith Young on Victory Follow Me. A couple of days there.
Just on Matthew Poon, Andrew, he's actually got a 2-day suspension prior to the commencement of that one. So effectively, he's out for 6 meetings there, Matthew Poon. He's had a lot of suspensions this season.
He has. It takes the wind out of his sails somewhat at the end of the season. So we start to look at Happy Valley's programme, though. The one we're missing is Multi Go-Go. Would have been here on a hat-trick. He's out of race number 4, replaced now by Ultimate Dream. Neil Callan in the saddle there. All right, we start off Wednesday night's programme on the C course. We'll finish on the C course as well. We start with a Class 5 over the 1,800 metres, headed by Aeroluminance. Finds himself back in this class where he's won in the past. Clement Legend, course and distance for the first time. Loaded was a beaten favourite last start. Sweet Bean, a 5-time course and distance winner behind Pearl Faroux last time out. Wealthy Fortune behind Pearl Faroux, same race for him. Jolly Amber was run up behind Gold Velvet over the 1,650 last time out, and down to Faithful Boy, also run up last time out at Chartin over the mile.
Yeah, the big prize as well, where he almost led them a merry dance the whole way, and he'll probably go forward here as well, very lightweight. He's actually out of the handicap from that perspective, but I still think he might run well for quite some time. Fruitful Life should just position up in behind, and Jolly Amber, his form's definitely improved of late.
We'll start with the toppy, who does get the drop in grade. He's only had the 1 win in his career, Aeroluminance. It was in this class, and it was for this rider, Zach Purton. He's had a couple of trials since his last start in early April. He's been fit for a while. He's just keeping the ball rolling there, basically, in the mornings, Paul O'Sullivan. This guy's going well, loaded. He did some work with Literature back on the 12th. It was a very good piece of work. He went better than Literature, and he'll run later on in the night. He's had a little bit of an awkward gait there on Wednesday night, but the horse is going well. And Celebration, I thought this was a little bit scratchy. You can see him there. I don't know whether that's generally him in the mornings. I haven't really looked closely at him enough, but he does look a little scratchy there, so that just sort of put me off a little bit.
All right, OK. Well, let's start with Aeroluminance. He takes the drop in class, 4th here at Chartin. There was an indifferent effort at the start before at Happy Valley over course and distance, but he is back in class now.
Well, I kind of can understand the indifferent effort 2 starts ago because they went at a really strong pace up front and he was kind of drawn into that pace battle. As Brett mentioned earlier on there, he's got a very good record when he drops into this grade. He's a big lad. He shouldn't have any problems carrying the weight. Zach Purton aboard. He's been running some, generally speaking, good races in Class 4 against some decent animals, and I think down to Class 5 he's going to be tough to beat.
Yeah, it's a very open market for the first, but he's definitely one I'd find it difficult to leave out of the tips.
All right, Jolly Amber's come up as our early favourite at this stage. Joe Moreira in the saddle. This is over the 1650, so he steps up to the 1800 metres for the first time.
Yeah, Joe hasn't ridden the horse before, but he has been aboard the horse quite a lot in the mornings leading into the race on Wednesday night. Second behind Gold Velvet. I'm going to make a good case for him to win again later on. So with that in mind, I think you need to give Jolly Amber a little bit of a chance here. He is on a rating of 24, so it's not going to get much easier for him.
Got a pretty good record teaming up, Ricky Yu and Joe Moreira. Not many winners, but plenty of placed efforts, so that's something to bear in mind too.
All right, the final race we can have a look at. Savannah wins the winner. Loaded was actually favourite, but finishes in 6th spot.
Yeah, I'm going to stick with Loaded because in this race he was in a good spot initially and then he got shuffled back. There were some changes through the race and he got shuffled back, but he still found the line quite OK. Barrier 11 looks a bit awkward, but I think that might push his price out a little bit. I've sort of been thinking he's ready to win a race his last 2 or 3 Loaded, and it just hasn't all unfolded for him. So I'm going to stick with him because it's Class 5 and I want a bit of value. But you could make a case for a few in that, John.
Yeah, I've sneaked Loaded in as well. Celebration's been running well, but he looks marooned out there wide from his bad draw on Wednesday night.
All right, so where do we go, Brett, with Jolly Amber, our favourite?
Yeah, well, it is Class 5, so a little bit of value for me. I'm going to go with Loaded for the reasons I mentioned. He's drawn 11. I would presume that from the 11, maybe just snag him back and just ride for a little bit of luck and hope there's a bit of pace. I don't think using him up early is probably the right way to go, but there's options from the 11, isn't there? It's one way or the other, I would have thought, or maybe try and slot in Jolly Amber, Aero Luminance. The joy of giving. Interesting, some of his work recently. Deleuze has been aboard. They've been sitting him in behind and closing him off in the stretch over the top of the horse he's been working with. And he did close in last start behind Savannah Win. It was a better effort. So he might be one to keep an eye on as an improver. But 4, 10, 1, 7. Happy to have something on the 4 each way to start the night.
I'm going down a pretty well-worn path here. Race 1, number 1, Aero Luminous. I think he's going to be tough to beat, all things considered, in the opener. Sweet Bean, he's the money boy of Class 5. 1,800 metres, he very rarely lets you down. And again, you're getting a decent price about him. He's got a lovely draw, gate 1. He's won 5 times at this course and distance, some 20 starts, which for a Class 5 galloper is a strike rate. Well, you couldn't wish for anything better when you own a horse of this sort of calibre. Jolly Amber in there for 3rd and Loaded. I've sneaked in for 4th. So similar numbers to Brett, just switched them round a little bit.
All right. I've got exactly the same numbers, John. Same order, 1, 6, 10 and 4. There you go.
It's easy, this game.
Class 5. All right, we're off and running. Up next is race number 2. So we're up in class, down in trip.